Okay, you guys, in this video what I'll do is I'll make this week's tasks really clear, and then I'm also going to show you where to find some resources. So after doing my live lessons and my practice ones, I realise a lot of stuff might be just getting lost in your email inbox, especially if you're getting a lot from different tutors. So I've put it all in one place for you. So on Canvas, if you go to the first year photography tile, you should come to some kind of home page. There you can see my announcements, which I'll continue to do for the live lessons. But down the side here, if you actually go to modules, what you'll see is the first module that I've put is called Remote Working PowerPoints, Help Sheets and Links. And from that, what I've done is I've put everything in a list. So there's my YouTube channel there, where all the videos are, my example doc, where there's an example of every task. Then you've got all of the other PowerPoints in a list version there. I've indented them so that they're grouped together. So you've got the mind map and the timeline, the quarantine project stuff, all of the things to do with the light project there, the evaluation prompts, and then the themes stuff that we've started to do right up to this PowerPoint, which I'll show you now. So basically, a quick recap, let's make this full screen, is the live lesson that we did. So potential themes will go in the middle, and what I want you to do is a mind map of 8 ideas. So 8 ones that you're considering, so you can see the 8 round there. And these are really like initial interpretations, you thinking about subject matter that you could photograph, first thoughts. So you considering lots of possibilities there. I've made some supporting resources. So there's the themes help sheet on the blog that lists different themes that you could think about, the mind maps from the live lessons, and links to examples from last year. So if I quickly just drop out of this, so if you follow those links, you'll be able to get to these mind maps here that we did in the live lessons that will help support you. This themes document as well, so you can come up with your other ideas. So this you'll be familiar with. So there's lots of ideas there that you could consider. And also, if you follow the link through, it takes you to a Google Drive folder where I've put different examples so you can expand on some of these, open them up, and you can read some of the points there that some students have made. So like I said before, you can do this digitally, you can screen grab that, you can add it into your Google Doc, or you could do it on a piece of paper, photograph it and upload it. Just make sure it's really thorough and it fills that page, because that shows the examiner that you've thought of lots of different possibilities. Okay, so you know where the resources are, you've made a good start on that. You can use the ones from class, but you need 8 altogether. So let's make this a bit bigger so it's easier to see. So task 2 is where we'll actually narrow down. So one of those themes from your mind map I'd like you to actually choose. So when you're sure of which one it is, highlight it for me on the potential mind map. And just a bit of a recap, a good theme has to be something that motivates you, something that you can really get stuck into or have multiple ideas for, because you've got to start wide. Don't choose something too specific, because then you won't be able to narrow it down. It's just like the last project, you have to do multiple shoots, so there has to be multiple ways that you can interpret it at the start. Make sure you can have access to the things that you need to photograph. If possible, link it to your future goals, and also make sure it builds on the things that you know that you're good at, that you've developed, that you're highly skilled at from doing your first year project. Obviously, the future is a little bit uncertain, isn't it? So make sure you have the flexibility in that theme to be able to be a little bit more considerate of what we can do and that we can have access to things. So don't plan for something that you know you won't be able to execute. So say, for example, like I said in the live lesson, if you want to do your project all about the sea, but you can't safely get to a beach, or you definitely can't get to multiple beaches, you can't pick that as a theme because it's just not sensible to do. Okay, another clear point that I need to make is you cannot choose something that's the same or too close to your first year project. This is because you build a portfolio of work and we can't have duplicate work. duplicate skills because you're not actually learning or developing by doing that. And it also means that your portfolio will become really repetitive and boring. So it's really important that you're doing something fresh and that it's new. Also, before you start this task, make sure that you agree your theme with me. So tell me what you're considering, tell me your ideas, and I'll make a note of what everybody's theme is so I know what you're all doing. That's really important because I don't want you to do work that I will ask you to change. Check in with me first and make sure we've agreed what you're going to do. So your second task is basically just opening the door on that theme and telling me your ideas. So I always think it's better if you guys produce visuals first. So if you do a mood board about your chosen theme. So one that we discussed a lot in both lessons for the live lesson was colour. So say you choose the theme of colour, I want lots of ideas on that mood board. So subject matter, things you can photograph, editing techniques, so how you could develop them, camera techniques and manual techniques. So you want it to be really varied. I don't want repeat imagery, lots of ideas on there, just like you guys have done before. And then after that, I'd like you just to mind map in a bit more detail the theme that you have chosen. So the story or the meaning behind it, locations, so where it is you can go. You can actually make notes on maybe changes that you'll have to make because of COVID-19. So your ideas and how you want to respond to it, so all of those things you've got ticking over. Props that you might need, lighting, especially because we've just covered like a lighting project, so any of those learning techniques, or say you want to use backlighting, say you want to go outside at a particular time of day that you know will suit, you need to brainstorm that on there as well because that shows that extra awareness. And then techniques, in camera, Photoshop, manual, and also here you don't have to commit to them yet, but photographers that you think link up. So there might be some photographers here that you found on your mood board, and then you can actually move them across as well. So these can be multiple. You don't have to research them, you don't have to pick them, but just photographers that have started to crop up that you think might help. So just so that you're on board, here's a couple of examples. So this is a really nice example of one from last year where somebody was looking at different fears and phobias. So there's lots of rich visual imagery on there. This is one where somebody was thinking about dreams and the subconscious mind. This one was somebody thinking about our society and youth and kind of things that we access and money and economy, things like that. And this one I think was more of a fashion-based mood board, but again with those different ideas there, so not just lots of models that look the same, thinking about different ways that they could access it, different props they might need, different kinds of compositions, maybe moving in closer. And again, it's really important that you guys get some manual techniques on there, because just that shows that you're considering lots of possibilities at this stage. You're not just thinking of what to photograph. You're thinking really widely because you actually gain marks for that. So like it says here, I want examples of subject matter, things you're going to photograph, editing techniques, camera techniques and manual techniques. Also, as you guys move on into the future, increasingly people will want mood boards to be primary images. So make sure for this mood board task that I'm setting you that you have at least one primary photo on there. So a primary photo is a photo you've taken. So it could be one from your light shoots, one from your quarantine shoots. It could be something that you have in your camera roll, but that has to have at least one primary photo on there. If you've got more than one, great, put them in, but make sure they're relevant to the theme and make sure they're yours. So mood board first, and then mind map after that. So we're going to look at the actual title, so shadows and light, or colour, or details, whatever it is you've chosen. Like this one is faceless portraits, and then you're going to expand on that a bit more. Remember, this gets you marks for your thinking. I'm happy for you to produce this however you want, so if you work well doing lists, if you want to do this by hand, If you want to do this digitally, that is totally fine. Even if you wanted to talk me through it and you wanted to make a little vlog about it and upload a video, that's also totally fine. What it is recording your ideas. And again, like I said last time, it wants to look really fleshed out. It wants to look full. It wants to look really comprehensive to get you a good grade. This is a nice one to do with dreams as well, so a bit like the mindmap that the mood board that we looked at before. They've got potential photographers on there, they've got their different techniques, ones which are in Photoshop, ones which are manual, ones which are in camera, lots of different ideas for locations. Make sure you mention that lighting as well, because that's where strongly you'll show links and learning from the lighting shoots you've done. Make sure the techniques are multiple. You can refer back to your first mind map if that's helpful. And also keep it really open, have multiple photographers on there. Okay? Not to forget, next week, next Wednesday, you actually have a lighting workshop that you'll do with Huddersfield University. I'll send you the details through, but I would like you to document that in your Google Doc as well. So this is my reminder to leave that time. Even if you have a lesson at that time, you can watch the lesson back, but the Zoom meeting you won't be able to. So if you're doing photography, make sure you access this, because I'll ask you to put that in your documents next week. In terms of next week, I just want to reassure you guys that I know that this is going to take some thinking time. So next week I've planned in more of a buffer zone, so the work that I'm going to get you to do is much reduced. So I'll get you to find an article to support your theme and write a short 300-word statement just about what it is you're planning to do, what it's about, and then just documenting your Zoom workshop from Huddersfield University. So really it's 2 small things that I want you to do, and then that gives you the breathing space if you need to have a bit more of a think on the imagery that you might need for your mood board, if you need a bit more time to discuss things with me. Also, even if you're wanting to do like a small group crit or something like that, that's something that I can organise. So making sure, like I said earlier on in the PowerPoint there, that you're agreeing your ideas with me. We know what your theme is. You've had that discussion with me. If you want to do it as a small group of maybe like 5 or 6 of you guys, I can make a separate meeting for that. If you want to have video on, we can discuss it like that. If you want to do it in the chat, that's totally fine. But what I'm saying is really this next 2 weeks are about getting that theme and picking the right one for you, making sure you've got lots of ideas, but also having it on the back burner that we're going to have to be a little bit flexible with how we're working, especially because we don't really know what the future will look like in terms of access to things because of coronavirus. So, in short, you have 2 main tasks to do this week. So there's the themes mind map where you're considering 8, and then you narrow it down into a really rich visual mood board about your theme and a mind map. So make sure that in the actual mood board you're using at least 1 primary photo and that it includes these things. Remember, whenever I give you prompts, they're directly linked to assessment criteria. So if you're adding all of those things, you're meeting the assessment criteria. If you're leaving one of them out, you're actually losing marks there. And also, same for your mind map on your theme. I've asked you these specific prompts because I know that that displays the right kind of thinking for the things that they're looking for the assessment criteria. So again, in leaving things of those out, it's a bit like leaving out parts of a pie. You're reducing the amount of marks that you can get for that. So if you have any troubles or questions at all, if you need more support, more discussion, make sure that you email me. But make sure that we're strongly considering those themes and you're choosing the right one for your project for the future.